Procurement, Suzette Moore. I'm Michelle Howard, the Director of the Small Business Programs Office. As a member of the business community and residents of the Washington region, you understand the importance of Metro in keeping your company and the entire region's economy strong. With 91 rail stations across Maryland, Virginia, and the District of Columbia, and more than 1,500 buses operating on 325 routes, Metro provides critical public transportation for the region. But our impact is much broader. We knit the region together, enabling employment, housing, shopping, and entertainment across communities. We boost property values and increase tax revenues near stations. We save workers hundreds of thousands of hours each day that would be lost in traffic. And we save families hundreds of millions of dollars per year in car expenses. But Metro could not provide these regional benefits without the business community's support. You provide Metro with the tools and services needed to keep the system running safely. We rely on companies like yours to assist with functions like IT, bus and rail maintenance, new construction planning, and real estate. So I want to take this time to welcome and thank you for participating in today's Small Business Office of Maximizing Opportunities for Small Business. I want to encourage all certified and those not certified small businesses to get certified with WMATA. We have many procurement opportunities for small business to participate as prime and as subcontractors. We now have 5 socioeconomic programs that you can choose from to get certified in. We have our DBE and SBE programs, which is our federal programs. But we also have our new minority business, small business, and micro business non-federal local programs for you to choose as well. We are definitely open for business, and we want you to be a part of our contracting opportunities. Please remember to fill out surveys that will be sent to you after the outreach. Please put all questions in the chat. We will have someone monitoring the chat. So again, I ask that you please put all questions in the chat. Next, I'm going to do some introductions of the speakers that will be coming up today. Our first presenter today is going to be Gerald Borno, Director of Supply Chain Planning and Analytics here at Metro. Gerald started with Metro almost 15 years ago and is the Director of the Supply Chain Planning and Analytics in the newly formed Supply Chain Management Department. Previously, he was in private sector, manufacturing, managing, tracking repairable assets for such companies as Infineon Technologies, Campbell Soup, Delphi International Paper, and Mead Westvaco. Gerald is one of the enterprise resource planning subject matter experts, as well as one of the asset management subject matter experts. He holds several supply chain certifications from associations of supply chain management and is also the president of the local DC Metro ASCM chapter. He recently presented at the Institute of Business Forecasting Conference in New Orleans and is presenting in the Conference for Edge Conference in Nashville. I want to now introduce Gerald, and he will start our first presentation. Thank you.
Hey, good morning, everybody. Let me pull up my presentation here. Just give me 1 second as this loads. Okay, here we go. So good morning. So a little bit about us. We've already talked a little bit about Metro, but from a supply chain perspective, I'm going to tell you a little bit about the things we support. So in the supply chain management department, we're responsible for supporting parts for the trains, the buses. We have the paratransit system. We have a service vehicle department. We have a police department. We support the facilities, and we support all the frontline staff with PPE and things of that nature. So our supply chain is pretty vast. We cover everything basically from paper towels to train engines. So it's a pretty wide supply chain. So really what drives our supply chain is funding, and funding is driven from the federal government. And the federal government says as a transit agency, we have to follow what's called MAP 21, which defines state of good repair. So it says that as a transit agency, it's our responsibility to make sure that all of our assets are in a safe and reliable state, and we have to maintain those. So that's sort of what drives us within the supply chain as well as within the agency. And that's sort of where we get our capital funding from. So we have basically two buckets of money we work from. The capital money, which comes from federal government and local jurisdictions, and they have a lot of rules and regulations we have to follow, like Buy America and things of that nature. Whereas the operational funded items are really what comes from the fare box. So that's what we bring in-house, and they don't have as many rules as the capital funding, but we still have to follow public procurement rules. So from as a supplier wanting to do business with a Mott, it's important to understand the sort of the nature of our funding, and sometimes that a simple procurement has a lot of rules and regulations attached to it because of where the money comes from. So if you see that, we're going out to buy something and it has to meet Buy America and you have to apply for the waivers and things of that nature, that's why you'll see it, that probably a capitally funded project. Now, what state of good repair leads us to, though, is a lot of times we have to hold on to components for long periods of time, sometimes up to 30 or 35 years. And that leads us to what we call just in case inventory. So we see trends like this when we're looking at data, is that we bring in a lot of inventory, but we may not use it all at once. And this kind of leads to an inventory bloat. So there's a big initiative for us to reduce that inventory value down to what's more reasonable. So we have what we need, but not more. So from a supply chain perspective, we're always trying to find that sweet spot, what we call optimized inventory. We have 25 storeroom locations. The one most suppliers are familiar with is our Metro Supply facility, which is in Hyattsville, Landover, Maryland. That's our main distribution point. I would say 80 to 90% of our inventory comes through that location and then gets distributed out to the smaller sub-stores around the Beltway. We have storerooms, literally at every rail yard, every bus garage has a storeroom attached to it, and we have several over at Carmen Turner facility. We're going to have several out in Dulles. So they're sort of spread out, so you can see how wide our distribution network is. We have a little over 200 employees. We manage roughly $160 million worth of inventory, and we have something like 76,000 SKU items that we manage. So our supply chain is pretty vast. The supply chain department itself has only been in existence for about 3 years. We started right before the pandemic. Prior to that, we were sort of a decentralized supply chain managed underneath the individual operational groups. So you can go to the next slide. So what is it like for a supply chain in the transit agency? I'm going to kind of walk you through one example of a component we deal with and some of the things we deal with. So you can see as a supplier, sometimes things change overnight for us without any input from us. It just sort of happens. So go to the next slide, and I'll talk a little bit about the mask mandates. So previously, we had to make sure all ridership had access to masks. Go ahead and go to the next slide. So we had to buy masks for all the ridership. So when they issued this back in February 1 of 2021, we had to go out and buy wrap masks. We had no idea how many we needed. We had no idea how many we were going to use. And so we started forecasting out and putting these wrap masks in all the facilities. And we tracked it over a period, like we were really forecasting out daily. We were updating our forecast because we had no trend. We had no data to start with because we didn't really ever do this before. So going to go to the next slide, and it'll kind of show a little bit about what we worked with as an agency. So when the pandemic started, we really never stocked, hand sanitizers, masks, face shields, those kind of things. We had a few. We had gloves we stocked, but as an agency, we wanted to make sure we didn't buy too much of a material, but we wanted to make sure we had enough for everybody to keep everybody safe. So as an agency, we looked at how we did over the course of the pandemic, and what we found was we were able to get really good pricing on most items, and some items we got better pricing than the private sector. And I'm going to put this: there was a lot of small businesses that came to our aid during the pandemic to help us meet this demand. Really, if it wasn't for a lot of the small and local businesses, WMATA probably could not have continued operation during the pandemic. So, we are grateful for all the local and small businesses that helped us out. And not only, were they able to help us out, they came through with phenomenal pricing and were delivering much quicker than any other of the larger companies could get. So there was a period of time we couldn't get anything unless it was coming from a small business. So go ahead and go to the next slide. And so what happened was overnight, though, the mask mandate disappeared. So if we had open purchase orders, or if we didn't have, we had too much stock on hand, we would end up canceling purchase orders. And we tried to balance that and look at it and see, do we cancel the purchase order? How does it impact the business? We had a lot of conversations about how we were going to continue supporting this mask mandate or lack of mandate, as it ended. But literally, it was like that overnight. We had no warning. Nobody came to us and said, "Hey, this might happen." It was, overnight, a court decided this, and we had to adjust. And those kind of things happen frequently to us, where a regulation changes or a specification changes for safety. And just understand, we'll work with the small and local businesses. We work with all the businesses to find out what can we do to make sure we minimize that impact. But sometimes there's very little we can do. Our hands are tied if they're like, we just don't need the part anymore. But we'll work with the business and try to minimize that impact. So go ahead and go to the next slide. So now the big question is, how can you help as a supplier help WMATA maintain safe and efficient operations? So I'm going to walk you through a couple things about inventory and doing business with WMATA's supply chain. So go ahead and go to the next slide. So we operate on sort of a pseudo qualified parts list, or a QPL. And really what that means is the FTA has said, as an agency, if you are putting parts on a bus or a train, you have to have an engineer review that component to make sure it meets all the safety specifications. So we can't just go out and buy anything. We have to make sure that what we're buying meets the engineering specification and is safe for the ridership. So we maintain a vendor database by component. And so what that means is, if you were going to supply, let's just say Windex, for example, you would have to be a registered vendor with WMATA, and you would have to be registered for that component to sell us Windex. And I'm going to walk you through, if you're not, how you get there. But just know that if you're not in the system registered for that component, we cannot buy it from you. So that's what the qualified product list means. So go ahead and go to the next slide. And so our system looks like this. This is Maximo. This is our system of record. And what happens is we have a manufacturer vendor number. When you're registered as a vendor, you get a vendor number. This is the manufacturing part number. This is the vendor's part, your vendor number. So we have a manufacturing code and a vendor code. This would be your supplier's part number, and then the unit of measure. And so this is what your record would look like within Maximo if you were registered to sell us this part. In this case, these some glass wipes. So this particular component probably only has one vendor registered. So we'd be looking to increase. We try to get a minimum of 3, but sometimes nobody comes to the table to bid, or there's some issue and we only get one vendor. So we try to get 3 minimum at least. But this is what the record would look like in the system, and this tells us who's the last time what we paid for it last time, the last time it was ordered. So this is what your record in the system would look like. Go ahead and go to the next slide. And how you would get added to the system is this. We have a workflow called P.A.F, which stands for Parts Action Form. And this is how we keep track of who's qualified, that the engineers reviewed it, and its safety looked at it. So there's a process where somebody would submit a request. It would go through engineering or safe, and they would give their blessing, or they would cancel it and say, no, we can't take that. And then it would come over to us, the supply chain, where we would activate the record and then go out for procurement. So if you want to get added to any parts in the system, the first thing you want to do is keep an eye out on the procurement bid lists that are going out. Identify items you can bid on, and then submit for bids. And as the bids come in, if we see vendors that aren't added to the system, we'll then add them to the system to try to capture that data. So when the next procurement goes out, you're added to the system and you can sell to us. So go ahead and go to the next page. There we go. So a couple things I want to make sure you look at. So if you do win a bid, please always look at the terms and conditions. It's that last page that a lot of suppliers and vendors sort of ignore, but there's a lot of information there. And these are some of the things you're going to see there. So when an item comes in, we do a paperwork three-way match. So we match the purchase order, the packing slip, and the invoice. You can't get paid if one of those three doesn't match. So it's important to make sure that all your paperwork is in alignment. Make sure you read if there's any minimum acceptable packaging language. So for example, if we're buying bulk hardware, there's some language that has to be packaged in hundreds, 200s, 300s, and so on. So make sure you read those packaging requirements if there are any. If you use a third-party shipment where you're ordering something from another vendor and you're having it drop shipped to WMATA, make sure the WMATA information is on their paperwork. Or like we said before, it won't match the three-way match, and we'll reject it, and it'll sit on the dock, and you won't get paid in a timely manner. So you got to make sure that all that paperwork is in alignment. If you have a substitute or supersession, it has to be pre-approved before you ship it. If something comes in and it doesn't match the part numbers that are in the system, our quality group at the dock is going to reject it and say it's not the same thing. Make sure you read the delivery locations. It happens not often, but every now and then somebody will ship something to the wrong location, and it creates a complication. That shipment could either be rejected or it'll be taken in at the dock, and it'll sit there until they figure out where it's supposed to go. So just make sure you read the delivery locations. And most importantly, if you see an item that requires a safety data sheet, like a chemical or anything like that, make sure you provide that safety data sheet to us, or same thing, otherwise it's going to be rejected. Go ahead and go to the next slide. And finally, I want to leave you with a few recommendations. As a small business and local business, please don't bid on what you cannot deliver. We want to work with you. We want to make sure you get business, but don't try to overbid on something and then try to figure it out on the back end. It makes things very complicated. And again, don't try to underbid and then try to figure things out. It makes things very, very difficult. And then it's going to put a bad taste in our mouth from that supplier. Focus on things that you can get quickly and at a good price point. There's a lot of 76,000 line items. The odds are you're going to find some little niche in there that you can supply us, and focus on those things. And if you have questions, please ask them. Don't assume anything. Reach out to us. We'll be glad to help you with anything. If you have a question, reach out to procurement, reach out to supply chain. We'll be glad to help you. Don't bring us gifts or other marketing items. We've had that problem in the past, and our OIG has limited what we can and can't accept from suppliers, and it could disqualify you from a procurement. So just stay away from that. Don't send us catalogs. We don't have time to go through catalogs and search websites and things like that. But what we are looking for is if you have a new innovative product, you have suggestions, or you have ideas, let us know. We'll be glad to sit down and talk to you about. We've had several local vendors that are like, hey, I've got this new product. Would you be interested in it? And we'll go through a demo and show it to our engineers, show it to our maintenance group. And then it's really their say to go, yeah, we want to try that out, or no, we're not interested at this point. But if you have something new or have some ideas, we are all ears, and we would love to hear from you. So I think that was everything I had. Hopefully I covered everything. But I think we're going to have some questions. If you have any questions, I'll be glad to answer what I can.
Okay, Gerald, there's a few questions in the chat. If there are any additional questions that you have, please add them in the chat. First question, it says, I see Oracle PeopleSoft in the previous slide. Can you please elaborate as we support that product?
Yeah, Oracle is our system of record for finances. So procurement, all our finance records are housed in PeopleSoft, and all our transactional data and asset data is managed in Maximo. So it's our system of record for purchase orders, invoicing, all that is run through PeopleSoft.
The
I don't
next
know.
question.
I was going to say,
Go
I
ahead.
don't know if we have any need for support on that product yet, but that's handled by IT. So it's sort of a separate, I'll call it a separate supply chain. We don't do any of the IT stuff. So you'd have to keep an eye on the bids from procurement to see if there's any support projects going out.
Thank you, Gerald. The next question. So in essence, we should be an authorized distributor or reseller.
Yes, it's not necessary though. If you build a relationship with a company and you're not necessarily authorized, but you can get the product, we're okay with that. We're okay with that. But I just know with some manufacturers, it's helpful to be an authorized supplier or distributor.
The next question was that will a copy of the slide presentation be made available? Yes, it will. That will be sent out by next week with a survey and a thank you letter from our director, Michelle Howard. Are there any additional questions that you would like to add in the chat?
If I would like to say thank you to all the local and small businesses. Like I said, we could not have survived the pandemic if it wasn't for our supplier base, in the area. And that's not an exaggeration. There were periods of times we were only getting stuff from local businesses. So we want to extend our gratitude and thanks. And, we're looking for whatever we can do to help you out, continue supporting us, and whatever we can do to help support you.
Thank you, Gerald, for the presentation. Michelle, you can take over. Mr. Brown is in the meeting.
Thank you very much. Gerald, this is such important information because this is the way that we are going to definitely make sure that our small business community is connected to these opportunities in WMATA. We want to make sure that they are aware and that they are able to get connected because these are the type of opportunities to get their foot in the door. And that's what we want to make sure that we're doing in the small business office is connecting our small businesses to the different opportunities throughout the entire WMATA. So thank you so much. Next, I want to introduce Mr. Darren L. Brown. Darren serves as the Assistant Division Administrator, Civil Rights Division in the Virginia Department of Transportation, VDOT. He provides leadership to the VDOT civil rights programs related to the Disadvantaged Business Enterprise Program, also known as DBE, Business Opportunity and Workforce Development Center, and VDOT Small Business Enterprise Program for DBE, EEO, and Labor Compliance Program. He also does the Veterans Internship Program and the National Summer Transportation Institute Program. So you can see Darren has a very busy plate. He received his Master of Arts degree from Bethel University, and he received his Bachelor's of Science from Wilberforce University. He is a graduate of the Executive Advanced Leadership Program, the William F. Bolger Center for Leadership Development, and a graduate of Virginia Polytechnic Institute University Transportation Construction Management Institute. He has a master's certificate in government contracting from George Washington University and a master's certificate in contractor compliance from Morgan State. Among his many local and national awards and recognition, he received the prestigious Robert L. Blake Distinguished Service Award from the Association of State Highway and Transportation Officials. He also has received the Federal Highways Leadership Award and Administrators Excellence and Teamwork Award. He also has received some Small Business Specialist Awards and the USDOT Office of Small Disadvantaged Utilization Awards. At this time, I want you to Please welcome Mr. Darren L. Brown.
Can you guys
Mr.
hear?
Brown, we're ready for you to start.
All righty. Good morning and welcome. I want to thank Miss Michelle Howard and Miss Marlo Johnson for inviting me to participate in this forum this morning. Again, my name is Darren Brown. I'm the Assistant Division Administrator for the Civil Rights Division here in Richmond, Virginia. So I'm going to give you a little background on the Business Opportunity and Workforce Development Center. Next slide, please. Through the financial support of the United States Department of Transportation, VDOT provides supportive services to certified DBEs at the Business Opportunity and Workforce Development Center. We've been open since 2007. The Business Opportunity and Workforce Development Center offers business development services and training to certified disadvantaged businesses to position themselves to obtain federally funded transportation contracts. The major focus of providing supportive services to DBEs is to assist them toward the goal of self-sufficiency. In order to receive supportive services from the BALT centers, firm must first complete a business assessment, an Excel questionnaire that asks questions about the firm's organizational structure. The purpose of the business assessment is to determine the firm's strength, weaknesses, and determine the type of assistance to be provided to the firm by the BALT Center. Firms completing this business assessment are required to have a business plan developed, or if the firm has an existing business plan, it is required to have the business plan reviewed for updates. Next slide, please. The types of technical assistance that we provide at the BALT Center, again, I talked about the readiness tool. The readiness tool, again, is a system that we use for our DBs to fill out. It tells us exactly your strengths and your weaknesses, and from that, we'll have a conversation on how to get you to build in those areas where it appears to be a weakness for your company. We also provide proposal writing training. We also provide project management training. We also develop business plans for your company. We've done human resources training. We also provide safety and bonding. We also do construction management and also financial audit. And we do financial reviews, and we provide accounting and legal services that will pay for those costs. Again, some of the funding that we provide, we will pay for any type of leadership you want: QuickBooks, construction safety, credit repair, bonding education, OSHA 10, 30, and immediate work zone. Just a wide variety of different types of training. We also will pay for you to go to college, take courses, or any type of certification that you may need in the particular area that you work in. We also pay for conference registrations. If you want to go to a conference registration, we'll go to a conference, we'll pay for that. Again, we provide financial reimbursements for all of these different items. Next slide, please. Again, all we ask is that you be a DB that's certified in the state of Virginia, or you certified by MY. You don't have to actually be in the state of Virginia. You could be in Maryland, but certified in Maryland, so you're eligible for the funding. We provide a limit of this limit has gone up to $15,000 per year. I really want to home in on this because we provide $15,000 that we will give to, not give, but we'll reimburse DBs for all of those things that I just talked about. And that's on an annual basis. For example, I'll probably have people to come in by the end of this fiscal year by September 30th, and then they'll come back on October the 1st again, trying to get another 15,000, which is completely allowable. So we, like I said, we get all of our funding from Federal Highway Administration, and we have a ton of funding that we're just trying to help our DBs out there to get where they need to get at to help them win contracts and be competitive. So please take advantage of it. There may be some items that we have never thought about reimbursing, but I'm always willing to entertain on it's what you might ask us to do for you, but it's a case by case. Again, we're paying for legal, things we've added this year is um, legal services, folks that get contracts. What we found is that all money is not good money. So when you get these contracts, but you really don't understand the terms and conditions, but we'll pay for a lawyer or provide legal services to review your contracts prior to you executing whatever that organization may be. We also pay for to get your indirect rates audits done in your accounting system. We pay for that. So we have a lot of great things that we're doing here at VDOT. And again, in order to be eligible, all you have to do is take the readiness tool system and take that, and you're eligible. That's all we ask, is that we get a chance to assess your company on exactly where you are and where you need to be at. And also develop a work plan. We develop a work plan and a business plan for you all um, based upon what the data tells us from the assessment. And again, reimbursement payments is tax-free money. You don't have to pay it back. Next slide. We also provide surety and bonding technical assistance. We assist DBs in getting bond ready. We provide one-on-one assistance in all business areas relevant to the bond application process. And we provide an examination of your company's internal and external controls. We also facilitate the bond transaction between construction contractors and surety companies. Again, these are just another list of all the different courses that we have provided. We also have VDOT University, where when you register with the Bowd Center, you're able to take over close to 2,500 different courses that are technical. Some may be safety, some may be leadership or management, but you have access to all those different resources. We recently just held flagger training and work zone training at our Bowd Center. Also at our Bowd Center, we allow you all to use that for your meetings or any type of training you may need. We have computers out there that you may be able to use for your company. So again, our supportive services, we have a lot of great things going out at the Bowd Center here in Richmond, Virginia. And these are the URL links for contracting opportunities for our administrative service division. We also have our construction. We also have our consultant for professional and non-professional services. And we also have what we call a small business enterprise program, where those contracts are set aside for DBs and SWAMs for contracts that are $750,000 or less. And this is how you can reach me. That's my email address and that's my phone number. And also you see Miss Solias here, who is a staff member at the Bowd Center. but we are open for business. We are here to help you all get to where you need to get to in order to win these contracts. Are there any questions?
Mr. Brown, there's one question in the chat. Is the support provided only for VA firms, or can other DMV area businesses qualify currently, MBE, DBE, SBE in Maryland?
All you have to, again, you have to be DB certified in the state of Virginia, but you don't have to have your business in Virginia, but just certified through SBSD or MY, and you're eligible to take advantage of all the resources that we have. Up until this point, we have provided over $300,000 this fiscal year to DBEs. We've also certified over 2,800 DBEs here in the state of Virginia. We've also partnered with Clark Construction and getting DBEs in their leadership program. We also partner with Virginia Tech. We send DBs there for a week to get construction management training. Those are scholarships that we give that are estimated between $5,000 and $10,000, but we pay for your housing and to take this training.
Thank you, Mr. Brown. There's another question in the chat. Good morning. We are, sorry if I mispronounced this, Avlos General Construction Services, LLC, and we are registered under MDOT as an MBE, SBE. We would like to get help with certification with the DBE, SBE, with Ramada to get more business opportunities. That was actually for us, so we'll address that. But can you tell them how they can get certified with VDOT as well?
Yes. Again, just give me a call and we'll set up a meeting and we'll help facilitate and expedite you getting certified here in the state of Virginia. We have a great relationship and partnership with SBSD. So we'll sit down and walk you through what needs to happen. And also, you can still take advantage of the resources at the Bout Center if you're not certified, but you won't be eligible for the 15,000. But you can take advantage of the other stuff, but you won't be eligible to get the 15,000 unless you're certified by SBSD.
There's another question. Is there guidance available to get certified in Virginia?
Yes. Again, if you email me, I will provide you all of that information that you need to get certified here in the Commonwealth of Virginia. And again, I have a great relationship with the folks that do the certification. So once you sit down with me or my staff, we'll provide you the information you need and we'll put you in contact and we'll keep track to make sure that you are certified here in the state of Virginia. It usually takes between 60 and 90 days, but what I'm seeing now from most of the folks that have sat down with us at the Bout Center, they're getting certified less than 60 days. But take advantage of that and get certified. We have so much work here. We got over $40 billion from the infrastructure bill. And we have Virginia, we have so many opportunities here. We've made payments to over $15 million to DBs thus far this year. So there are a lot of opportunities here in the state of Virginia, if it's construction, if it's non-professional, if it's professional services or maintenance type contracts. So we have a lot of great things going on here. We've been going across the Commonwealth, having virtual webinars on how to do business with all our different districts here in the state of Virginia. That's been pretty overwhelming. I mean, it's a lot of opportunities. The reason I was late because I was just conducting how to do business with our Fredericksburg district. So email me and I'll put you on our email list because we're doing a variety of different trainings. We got training next week on how to diversify your portfolio. I mean, you got the DB program, you got the SWAM program, you got the social economic programs, 8A, Hub Zone, woman-owned small businesses. So just don't focus just on state contracts, but look at the other programs, like I just said, 8A, Hope Zone, Woman On, the government spends over $700 million just for small businesses. So we really need you guys to take advantage of all the resources that are out there. You have to get ready, willing, and able to take advantage of these opportunities because they might not be there. You have to take advantage of while it's here now.
So there's two more questions in the chat. Sounds like those already MDOT certified should be a streamlined process for VDOT.
Yes, there is an interstate agency process. Yes. So when you work with SBSD, there are some, if you're already certified in another state, you don't have to provide all the information that you would do if you were brand new.
So the last question is, if you are DB certified with Maryland, you can get DB certified with the Commonwealth of Virginia through b2gnow.com.
I don't know what btg.com is, but to get certified here in the state of Virginia, you have to go through SBSD. That is the Small Business Diversity Agency that does our certification. But again, if you need any type of assistance or help, the Bow Center will assist you with that. That's what we do. Get you on the right trail, get you where you need to be at, get you in contact with the proper people. Now, B2G, what I know about them is that they are the ones that run and manage our M3 assessment system.
Thank you, Mr. Brown. Are there any more questions? Please put them in the chat. Next question, Mr. Brown, you mentioned something about not able to use the financial assistance if we go through the SBSD. Can you please repeat it?
Okay, what I'm trying to clarify is that for the $15,000, because you have to be certified as a DBE. So if you're not certified as a DB in the state of Virginia, you're not eligible to get the money. You have to be certified as a DB in the state of Virginia. And again, you could be certified in the state of Virginia, but be in Maryland. But I'm saying exclusive of that, you still can take advantage of all the other resources that we have, some of this free training that we have using the Bow Center. You can still take advantage of that, but it's only to get that 15,000, it's our policy. You have to be certified as a DB in the state of Virginia. Did I clear it up for you?
Yes, you did. Thank you, Mr. Brown. There's no more questions in the chat. Mr. Brown, thank you so much for your presentation. Michelle, turning it back to you.
Thank you, Marla. Thank you so much. So, Mr. Brown, thank you for that awesome information. I am sure that these businesses want to definitely contact you and contact the information that you have provided for them. I see that Virginia is doing some great things for small businesses, and I encourage all of them to take advantage of those types of opportunities. Anything that can help them financially with their businesses, that's an awesome opportunity. I want to thank you all for attending our presentation today. I want to thank the Small Business Programs Office team. I also want to say a thank you to our Senior Vice President, Suzette Moore. I brought greetings from her and from our General Manager, Randy Clark. I want to say a special thank you, though, to Gerald Varno and Darren Brown for being our presenters today. This is awesome information for the small businesses, but I want the small businesses to remember certification is the key to participation in so many of the different agencies. So here at WMATA, we do look forward to your certification applications being submitted. Please take the time to visit our portal and look at the different information under our small business programs, whether it's federal or it's our local program. I want to also give you a reminder that in October on the 27th, we have a Meet the Primes. So please save that date because we'll have prime contractors presenting all of their opportunities to you on October the 27th. We have a Meet the Primes. Thank you again for attending this morning. Yes, the information and presentations will be sent out to you along with other information dealing with the survey. Please fill out the survey. That's how we know what you need for us to do presentations on and to help get information to you, our small business audience. We will make sure that Gerald does a repeat performance because having access to the supply chain opportunities and information is so extremely important. We want to make sure that we are bringing to you all the opportunities around, WMATA that small businesses, I said before, can participate as a prime or as a subcontractor on. Thank you again. Have a great rest of your day, and I appreciate your attendance. Bye-bye.